Okay, fellas, back here with another video. Going to be talking a bit more about tree stuff, chainsaw, climbing equipment, tips, things like that. Alright? I'm ramping up. Ramping up! Old but not dead. Anyway, I've always got something to pass on, to the younger generation. So I got this new helmet. Here's my old hard hat here. And I'm going to add a strap to this because I still like this hard hat. I just like the round brimmed hard hat because I just like the looks of it. Keeps the sun off, when you need to keep the sun off. I got that new one there. This one's more for like weed whacking and doing stuff on the ground. I don't really want to wear this mesh face guard up in the tree, but I do like those integrated hearing protection. My hearing is trash already, so I don't want to lose any more. I still want to be able to hear some. But anyway, I'm going to add one more strap to go around the back of the head on this one for climbing purposes, and I'll create a harness for that one in case I want to use that one up in the tree, take the mesh off. But the thing is, guys, you always got to remember that you only got one set of eyes. You always have to have some kind of safety glasses, okay, or a visor or something. There's all kinds of nice stuff out there now. There didn't used to be all this nice stuff, back when I started doing tree work with my dad back in the 70s. Things were different. They didn't. You just put on a set of, work trousers and a long sleeve shirt, and you went out and you cut stuff, right? Wasn't like now. Now you got all kinds of goodies. Anyway, coffee. So I got this helmet a week or two ago. This Oregon, and I like it. I did a bunch of weed whacking with it. I used the forestry saw for weed whacking. Nothing stops it, I've got a steel Combi 131. I've got a little tiller attachment for that one. I use that for digging around in the ground a bit. I mean, that's a good heavy duty power head for what it is, But that forestry saw, I got the 560. There's the 561 now. Nothing can stand in its way. Nothing. Yeah. So, like I was saying in those other videos that I had taken to Husqvarna saws when I came back up to New England, that I started back with Husqvarna saws because they're more popular in New England. But had I bought two saws. They were kind of bogging down a bit, though. Just like get them revving high and they're cutting good, and they start getting into some heavy stuff and they'll bog down a bit. But we used to use 32 to 1 and 40 to 1 in the chainsaws when I was young. And the modern saws, they say 50 to 1, but I started running 40 to 1 in my modern saws, and they were running better. So I put 32 to 1 in the 562 XP, and man, it is running good, running real good. So I think I'm just going to go back to those older fuel mixes rather than this modern 50 to 1. I think this is just all EPA crap, you know. I mean, and you know what, whatever. That the greenies don't like it, I don't care, because I gotta get work done, you know, and it is what it is. But this helmet, I used it for weed whacking the other day. Got a little bit of crud here and there, not too much. But I'll give you a little tip, okay? I'm gonna give you a little tip on things like this, and your chainsaw, and your snow removal machines, your snow blowers, snow throwers, okay? You want to use something slick, okay? You want to use something slick, like this is, I just pulled this out. This is just for something for me to hold up, right? This is Kiwi Camp Dry. It's a heavy-duty silicone-based water repellent, right? So anyway, you want something slick on your chainsaws and your helmet visor. I spray this all down, right? So with the chainsaw, just spray the whole thing. Spray your bar, spray your power head, spray everything. Keeps all the crud from wanting to stick to it. Alright? And then with the snow thrower / snow blowers, you know, you want to spray everything down, especially where the auger is, you know, because the auger is coming in contact with that snow, and then you know, if you put something in there, you spray it down with, say, like Spam or silicone spray or something. Better to go organic with the snow thrower, snow blower, you know, because you're outside, you're just moving snow from point A to point B. And if you got like a garden and stuff, you don't want to use anything that's not organic. You know, you don't want to use any chemical stuff on that unit if you can help it. You know, because it does melt, and that stuff goes with it. You know, just little trace particles. All adds up. But anyway, it's just something to think about, right? But spraying down your chainsaws and your trimmers and stuff with silicone spray, you know, that'll keep the crud from building up too much. You're going to get some because it's a high velocity thing hitting this screen, right? Overall, I give this a 9 out of 10. Because I'll give it a 9 out of 10. I did put this piece on here. I drilled 3 holes for these little button deals to put that on. That's supposed to keep stuff from coming up underneath. But I gave it a 9. I give it a 9 out of 10 because I did get stuff touch my face and my eye area, which is, I'm not sure how it even happened. But, you know, it does not keep 100%. Probably went through over here or over here because these holes are larger, right? But probably did not go through this mesh on the front. Did not make it up here because that's right here, right? Another thing is I was thinking about putting something permanent on there to where I could put the towel in there, but I you know, I found a big enough tea towel here. I can't remember what kind of cloth this is, but it's just basic This is just a basic, you know, tea towel you would get for like your kitchen. It's all white, very thin, lightweight. You're going to soak this in water. When you soak it in water, then you go ahead, put it on your head. Actually, you want to put it the other way, because this is the folded part. This side is the two ends where we folded it together. Alright, and I'm going to explain that why. Okay, so we want to put the two ends at the top. And then what that does is it keeps the water from dripping down in the back of your shirt and stuff, right? Because the ends are just going to let stuff just like flow out. But if you got a little bend in the material down there, it's going to try to hold it a little bit. Alright? So, I'll just use this orange one here for a minute. So, you just put that baby on. And your hearing protection's still going to work. Alright? Hearing protection's still going to work. So there we are. Ready to go. How about those sound effects, right? Maybe I can get a like out of that. Ain't got no likes lately. People ain't liking the tree stuff, I guess, but I don't really care because it'll help somebody. Somebody out there looking to do something around their house and they have zero experience with anything. Of course, you could adjust your tea towel. Very important to keep the sun off and keep cool. Keep the sun off, keep cool. Okay, you can always do disposable earplugs. I generally don't throw a pair of these away unless they're really nasty. I just clean them off of the shirt, plug them in. You know, then I'll clean my ears later. I use hydrogen peroxide on a Q-tip, just kind of gently clean around inside the ear. And if there's any kind of crud in there, or any kind of something that shouldn't be in there, like an amoeba, right? Anybody saw Wrath of Khan, the old Star Trek movie? Anyway, that will kill anything in there, but don't use alcohol because alcohol dries out the membrane in the ear, but you can use hydrogen peroxide and it'll clean out any gunk in your ear and you'll be fine. That's what I use. Anyway, these throwaways, it's nice when you can find them where they have a little plastic, you know, cord in between. That way you can take them out and let them hang in your shirt if you need to. But nowadays you just find them little singles like that. Let's see, what else we got here? Boot bands. Okay, these you use them in the military, 2-inch wide. Running out of time again. These are 2-inch wide boot bands, elastic with Velcro. Alright, you put on your canvas trousers, put on your work boots, and then you want to go ahead and strap your trousers to the outside of your work boots. That'll keep ants and other critters, bugs and so forth from coming up your pants, right? Your trousers, right? You don't want ants in your pants. That's an old saying, ants in the pants, right? You don't want ants in your underpants or ants in your trousers, and you don't want centipedes or millipedes either. So get you some of these boot bands. Secure the bottom of your trousers. Now these are just basic Wells Lamett gloves, okay? You can get you some fancy ones with Husqvarna or steel on them or whatnot, but these are just basic Wells Lamett cold weather gloves. Now I got these. I have other gloves, regular gloves, right? But then I got these for cold weather. So they do make these in a cold weather glove, right? So if you're out there doing tree work when the snow is blowing, you know, we'd be out there ourselves cutting down dead trees, or we'd be cutting down live trees and leave the live tree, you know, to process up in the spring. We would do stuff like that. Yep. It's a reality. So remember, spray for your chainsaws and outdoor equipment that you're using, and your hard hats. Spray your hard hats. Keeps all the crud from sticking and making you look like a walking leaf, you know. Unless you want to use those for camo later, right? See ya.